A video game artist, or simply a games artist, creates the visual elements of a game. It is the artist's job to model, shade, and texture characters, create elements of an environment like lakes, mountains, skies, and clouds, and design the original concept art and storyboards to begin the process of design. There are many different kinds of artists too. Animators, texture artists, character modelers, and environment artists, to name a few. These all mean, by the way, what you think they mean. Game artistry is a pretty new field, or maybe that's not fair, but it's on the frontier of technological development, and hence, there are not very many strictly educational requirements. As the industry standard, artists need to be able to use special computer software, be able to communicate with programmers and developers, work on a deadline, and have a traditional education in the arts. Most have an associate's or bachelor's degree in the arts, computer science, animation, game design, or another related field. It's not strictly a requirement to get a job in the field, and there's no consensus on the requirements, but these are what most game studios look for when hiring. Using the Holland hexagon taxonomy, it's useful to be a creator or a thinker, or maybe both. Creating art obviously requires some degree of creativity, except in some limited fields, like retopology, which is a strictly technical field. Anyways, aside from creativity though, an intuitive and expressive personality and a spontaneous style of work is necessary, as is an open-minded and non-conforming attitude. That's the heart of game design. It is also important, even if you're not doing retopology, to be a thinker, as pursuing a career in the arts, especially in game art, requires problem-solving, technical work, and careful observation and inspection, when, for example, one looks into a mesh to see where one should put the seams for textures, or to place bones for an animation. It's also good to be a bit practical to contrast the impulsivity of the creator personality.
So it's good to have doer as your tertiary type.
So the average salary of a games artist is about $40,000 to $70,000 per year, depending on experience and your role. A lead artist with 6 or more years of experience, for example, can make about $80,000 a year, while an animator with 3 or less years of experience can make about $45,000 a year. In terms of progression, the starting state is usually as a junior artist, but it's possible as you become more proficient to be promoted to a lead artist position, or to find an alternate position in the studio, such as creative director, game designer, or writer. And for the ugly part, working conditions in the game industry are sometimes bad. The industry is usually viewed as more relaxed than it is, but sometimes, because of deadlines and management, hours become long enough to extend into crunch time. 16 to 18 hours a day, 6 days a week. Even worse is a death march, where this extends for a month or more. And this is nowhere as uncommon as it should be in the games industry. The upside is, of course, that you get to work on a game, which many people dream of doing. And of course, you get to work with a team. You should be a person that can take something from imagination and actualize it on a variety of media. You have to be able to work fast and effectively, as tight deadlines can mean dangerously close calls. You have to be able to work on a team, as a game is the cumulative result, usually of several people: programmers, musicians, developers, and artists. And you also have to be able to learn fast, because working with quickly evolving technology results in switching versions and software to create a final product. You will also have these transferable skills, if you decide that this isn't the right job for you. You will get a greater proficiency in the arts, the ability to communicate and work well with groups, familiarity with the games industry, and the ability to network or interact with others to exchange contact information. So these are some related jobs in the games industry. Game design. These people come up with the concept and mechanics and they see the game through. Programmer or engineer. These are the people who fix bugs and are highly technical. Audio artist. Audio artists create and implement the sound of a game and are musically focused creators. Game writer. Games need script writers, which might be kind of surprising. And these people write the scripts. A game like Portal 2, for example, has 47,000 words. You might also find that you want to create your own game studio, and you can transition to this career directly from being an artist. If you're also a decent programmer, figure out a game that doesn't need too much complex programming, or can find a programmer and convince them to join you. The games industry is one of the fastest growing sectors, with advancing technology and rendering graphics creating new opportunities, especially for video game artists. VR, or virtual reality, is looming on the horizon, with an enormous potential to revolutionize the games industry, with systems like the Oculus Rift and the Microsoft HoloLens.
And finally, a few facts.
The current artistic software comprises Adobe Photoshop, Autodesk 3D Studio Max, Autodesk Maya, Pixelogic ZBrush, Adobe Animator, and Cinema 4D. Almost all video game artists have some post-secondary education. This job isn't a 9-to-5 sort of thing. It requires a copious time investment like everything else in the game industry. And there are a lot of free programs to get you started, like Blender, GIMP, Inkscape, Krita, Sculptris, and TerraGen. Okay, that's it. Hopefully some of you learned something, or at least had a laugh at this video editing.